What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I came outside with the no prep car today, but you can see I'm just at home without the timing system set up or anything. I want to test a few things today and try to get some slow motion footage to help me set up the car better. I got my main camera, my GoPro Hero 8, and my phone to catch different speeds of footage. So let's start making some hits and see what we find. The first thing I want to do is basically a demonstration. I get a few questions about the necessity of doing a burnout with these cars sometimes, so I figured I could try to show just how important heating up the tires is. You can see on the first hits where I didn't do any burnout at all, the car spins instantly and wants to get out of the groove. After doing a burnout for a few seconds, the car still spins a little, but it stays straight. Doing the burnout on carpet helps heat the tires up without wearing them out on the concrete or asphalt. The next few hits, I really wanted to see how the rear suspension is reacting. I've really been thinking and reading a lot about the pros and cons of the stiffer and softer suspension setups, and I'm hoping this will help me decide if I want to make some changes. I'll have to review the footage and come back to this later in the video. So the next thing I was curious about was the aerodynamic effects of each body. I made a few hits with no body at all as a baseline, and then a few passes with the C7 and with the Nova. The aerodynamics won't make much of a difference on the launch, so I set a camera up a little further down the driveway to see if I could notice any difference in how the car gets down the track. For all of you that have been wanting to see who was behind the camera, that's all you get. Just watching in real time, I felt like the C7 kept the nose of the car down a little better down track, which is what I expected since it's more of a wedge style body. We'll have to see if the slow motion footage tells a different story. Back inside now where it's not over 100 degrees, I had a chance to sit down and go through the slow motion footage frame by frame and was pretty surprised, honestly. First off, I think the footage speaks for itself on the burnout or no burnout debate. The car wouldn't even go straight without some heat in the tires. The suspension experiment really surprised me though. Some of you might have caught it earlier, but it's almost as if the rear shocks are barely compressing at all. I can see two things that are causing this. Number one is the stiffer spring I use. I could go back to the soft springs and see what that does. But the second thing I only caught watching it frame by frame. It looks like the back of the car actually twists or flexes when the power is applied before the shocks can get a chance to do anything. I started thinking about ways I could stiffen up the chassis, but I think I'm gonna try the softer springs first. Let me know what your suggestions are in the comments below. The suspension does seem to work a little after the initial launch, but I honestly thought it would compress a lot more on the hit. I did raise the wheelie bar a little higher than normal to make sure it wasn't limiting the suspension travel, which is why the nose is in the air. Great for action shots, but bad for speed. You can see the wheelie bar isn't limiting anything though. The aerodynamic test with the bodies was just something I was curious about, and it seems like what I predicted was correct, but I definitely noticed something. Without a body on, it looks like I have a lot of front end wobble. That definitely surprised me since there's no axles or anything up there. It just seems to start shaking when it carries the front end. I'm kind of lost on what could cause that. The C7 body does seem to keep the nose down better down track. You may see it come up towards the end, but that's strictly from the car going over the expansion joints in the concrete. The Nova body definitely does a great job as well, especially with the addition of the splitter. I did notice the rear body posts seem to be getting really flimsy, so I think I'll have to come up with something new for that. I have some extra carbon fiber laying around, so I'll probably look into making a mount out of that that'll be much more rigid. So after all of that, I definitely feel like I'm still learning. I think I'll for sure play around with the suspension a little more in the rear. I'm still kind of shocked, pun intended, at why the shocks don't seem to compress during the launch. I have a few ideas to try, and I'm definitely looking forward to what your suggestions are, so make sure to let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for the continued support on all of my videos, and as always, thanks again for watching. Peace.